Today I have a complete demo and honest review for you of the Monarch online homeschooling program. I have reviewed this program before on my channel, but there have been some recent updates. And honestly, I'm just a lot more familiar with the program now than I was when I was first starting out. So let me show you this Christian online homeschooling program and everything that it has to offer so you can decide if this is the right homeschool curriculum for your family. So as you probably know, Monarch is a complete online homeschooling program for grades 3 through 12. And it's not a school, so you won't be getting a diploma from Monarch. Think of it more like a homeschool curriculum that just happens to be done online. Monarch is part of the AOP family of products, which includes the Horizons and LifePack print curriculums. So just like a parent might choose one of those curriculum options to homeschool their kids, Monarch is another curriculum option. It just happens to be done online. AOP does have an online Christian school called Ignite Christian Academy if you prefer to go that route. But if you are looking for an online homeschooling program, stay with me while we review Monarch together. If you have used Monarch in the past or seen some of my other videos where I mention it, they did used to have a different pricing structure. You used to get a certain number of core classes included with your subscription, and then you could add on electives for an additional fee. Now they have an all-access subscription, so you get as many core courses and electives as you want for one price. If you pay monthly, it will cost $43.95 a month for your first student and $19.95 a month for each additional student. You can save a little bit of money by paying for a year up front. That will cost $439.95 for the first student and $199.95 for each additional student. If you prefer to shop for the courses individually, you will pay $10.95 a month per course or $109.95 per year. Monarch offers a generous 30-day free trial, which I think is great. In the past, they did not even require your credit card info to get the free trial, but now they are going to ask you to put that info in. So make sure to remember to cancel if you don't end up liking it. And if you're looking for that link, I've left it for you in the video description below. Once you sign up and create your account, you'll be able to pick the courses for your child. I'm going to be using 8th grade for this video. So you can filter for grade level or subject, and then you can ignore the price if you purchase the all-access subscription. Once you click on one and then add your student, the price will go away. You can scroll down to see the course description, and if you're looking for the scope and sequence, that's here under resources. So you can just keep adding courses here, but don't worry. You can go back and add more later if you want, or remove courses that you've decided you don't want. I'll show you how to do that later in the video. You may have to keep going back to the shop to find the rest of the courses. It's not the best setup, and it's definitely very different than it used to be. But anyway, once you're satisfied with the courses you've selected, your child will be ready to start learning on Monarch. So I'm going to start by showing you what this online homeschooling program will be like from the student's perspective. And then I'll show you the parent section and everything you can do there. To get to the student section, you're going to need to log out and then click up here on Student Access. Then you'll log in with the username and password you set up for your student. So here is the main screen that they'll see when they log on to Monarch. Under schoolwork, here are all their current assignments and due dates. Dates in red represent overdue assignments. Over here is a place for messages, which would really only come from you as the parent. Then here are some resources that students may need. If we click on calendar here, we can get a nice visual of the work that will need to be done each week and work that has already been completed. Past due assignments will have this red line here. If you click up here on learn, this is where you go to start the next assignment for each course. You'll also see the due date here. And I know we haven't done anything yet in the parent section, like assigning specific days of the week for each course or anything like that. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to customize everything later in the video. If we click here on courses, this will show students their progress through the courses. And if we click the arrow button, we can see more details. Click on the arrow again and again to get down to the smallest level of detail. So this is great for students to be able to see their completed work and the grade they received. Messages allows your child to send you a message or read messages from you. The Help button over here will launch the Monarch Student Guide. And you can click over here to change the theme. Okay, so before we look at the parent section, let's try out a couple of these lessons so you can see what they're like. We'll start with a lesson from 8th grade math. So this is the typical format for the lessons. You'll have a little lesson overview here, followed by lesson objectives and a vocabulary list. They also have this vocab arcade for some extra practice. Then we'll have some more text, and there will often be a video included as well. So we can click play to start the video. Let's watch this one now.
The number line is a graph used to represent the real numbers. On the graph, numbers to the left of 0 represent negative values or values that are less than 0. Numbers to the right of 0 represent positive values or values that are greater than 0. The number line is a very helpful tool because it allows us to visualize the magnitude of a number. Let's start by graphing a real number on the number line. To graph a real number, draw a point at the number's location. Keep in mind that we can only graph the exact location of rational numbers, such as -2/3. For irrational numbers, such as pi, we can only graph its approximate location. A good approximation for pi is 3.14 or 22/7. The number line is also helpful for finding the distance between two rational numbers. For example, the distance between -1 and 3 is 4, and the distance between -5 and -2 is 3. Keep in mind that distance is always positive. There is one special distance to make note of. The distance between any number and 0 is called its absolute value. Vertical bars are used to represent absolute value. For example, the absolute value of -3 is 3, and the absolute value of +3 is also 3. In fact, since opposite numbers lie the same distance from 0 on the number line, just in opposite directions, opposite numbers always have the same absolute value. Let's summarize what we've learned. The number line is a very useful tool for both visualizing real numbers and finding distances. Rational numbers can be graphed using their exact locations. Irrational numbers can be graphed using their approximate locations. The distance between any number and 0 is called its absolute value, and opposite numbers always have the same absolute value.
You can also view the video transcript if you like. Over here on the right, you can print the lesson, and you'll see here they also have a read aloud option. Up top here, it shows how many sections are in this lesson. At the bottom of the page, you can choose to read the next section or work on the questions. Or you can also get to the questions by clicking up here. So when a student is ready, they will put in their answers for each question and then hit Submit Answer down here. Then they can click Next up here to get to the next question. They can also make a note here if they want to. If they get a question wrong, they will have a chance to correct it before they submit their answers, unless you have turned that option off in the parent settings. Once they're finished answering the questions, they would click Mark Lesson as complete. Unlike some other online homeschooling programs, they might not get their final grade right away. There are actually some things on Monarch that parents will have to grade. So if there are essays included in the lesson, a parent will have to grade them. I'll show you how to do that when we review the parent section. Now let's look at another lesson. We'll try history and geography. So we can see it's a similar format. There is an overview, lesson objectives, and vocabulary to start, followed by the actual lesson, which for this one is more text. So you just go through the lesson, and then you can complete the questions once you're done with the lesson. And if you complete the lessons that were assigned for the day, you can work ahead. Remember, this is a homeschooling program, not a school. So just like you could keep going ahead in a textbook if you wanted to, you can do that here too. So the schedule is more like just a guide for what should be completed each day. It's based on the days of the week you select for each course and the school year that you set up. It schedules it so that your student would have the courses completed by the end of the school year. So that is how the lessons will work. Some are definitely more text heavy than others, but in general, you can expect a lot less video lessons than you'll see on some of the other popular online homeschooling programs. And I appreciate that. I personally don't know if it's a great idea to just teach with a video for every single lesson. There are also a lot more practice questions at the end of the lessons on Monarch, and in my opinion, they are a lot more challenging. They're not all just multiple choice. And I will admit I didn't test out too many of them this time because I really just didn't want to have to keep answering the questions. There are also quizzes and tests in addition to the lessons. So we'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum later. But now let's go over to the parent section so you can see how to customize this curriculum for your child. So to get there, you'll sign out, then click sign in as parent. So when you sign in here, you'll see your order history, and if you click on Manage Subscriptions, this is where you can go if you want to cancel. If you click on Manage Students, this is where you can add additional students. You can also update your address and view your wish list. This is tied to the whole AOP website now, so it's a little different than it was before. To get to the actual area where you manage your students in Monarch, you would click up top here where it says Parent Access. So this is the main screen on the parent dashboard of Monarch. And I have to warn you now, this is a lot more complicated than the other online homeschooling programs out there. So stay with me and I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. The first thing you're going to want to do after you first sign up is to come here and define your school year. So you just name it anything you want and pick your start and end dates. You can change it later if you want to. This is what will determine the pace of the lessons. So the longer the school year, the fewer lessons they'll have to complete each week. You can also pick a theme if you want. Then down here we have a calendar which will show you what your student has assigned for each day. You can click reschedule all courses to make changes to the courses, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Over here under assigned work is where you can go to customize the lessons that are included in the courses. And we'll get to that in a minute as well. And over here, under grading tasks, is where you can find the assignments that you'll have to grade. But before we look at that, let's go back to the main screen. Back here under assigned work is where you go to customize the lessons like we just saw. Reschedule work is where you can set the days of the week for the courses. Grading tasks is where you go to grade assignments. And settings is a whole thing of its own that we'll go through too. Just bear with me. Over here under application is where you can change your password, view your info, and change your theme. Over on the left is another way to get to the calendar, view the assigned work, and see what you may need to grade. And down below here is the new parent dashboard and the course catalog. Okay, so now we have to look at all of this in more detail. First, let's click on Reschedule Work. This is where you can set the days of the week that you want your child to work on each subject. Now they can always work ahead, but this at least gives a general idea of what is expected each day. So when they view their calendar, they know what they have coming up. So have some fun setting this up for your child. And I have to admit, I did not find a way to set up days off. If anyone knows, please leave a comment and let us know how to do that if there is a way. From here, you can click Home to go back to the main screen. You can also access the lesson plan. Messages is where you can communicate with your child. Setup, we will go over in a minute. Reports is where you can generate reports, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. And then we have a help button, and you can log out here. Back to the main screen, now we're going to look at the lesson plan section, which is under assigned work, even though they called it lesson plan on that other screen. So here you can see each course that your student has assigned. And if you open these up, you can see each lesson that is included. And if you click on a lesson, you will see their scores if the lesson has been completed. You can also see if something needs to be graded and how many attempts they took for the answers. This is a lot of detail and not something every parent needs, but it's here. This is also where you can block or unassign a lesson, or clear work if you want to have your student redo a lesson. Lessons in gray are completed, lessons in yellow are not assigned, and lessons in red are blocked. But when you block a lesson, it won't allow a student to progress past that point in the course. So if you want to just skip a certain lesson, you would choose unassigned, not block. Back on the main screen, if we go to grading tasks, we'll see anything that is waiting for the parent to grade. So open it up and scroll all the way down, and you'll see what you have to grade, and they will give you some help in grading. Okay, we are almost done, I promise. If you want to add some more courses, you can click on Course Catalog. This will bring you back to where you can browse through and add courses like you did when you first signed up. If you click on New Parent Dashboard, you'll be brought here. This looks like just a quick snapshot of your child's progress and grades. I wonder if they are working on more updates and intend to replace the current dashboard at some point. Now let me show you the settings. This is a lot, I know. So you can click up here and choose any of these options, or if you go to the calendar and click up top under Setup, this will also bring you here. So we've got School Setup, Student Setup, and Curriculum Setup. Under School Setup, the first tab is Assignment. This is where you can go to allow kids to skip a problem or not allow it, allow them access to the answer key, set how many problem attempts they get, and choose your Bible version. Under School Year is where you can modify the dates for the school year you set up. Under Quiz Test, you can change some of the settings, such as whether they will get immediate feedback on their answers. Under Grade, you can change the grading scale and assignment weight. And you can set some notification preferences here. Under Student Setup, you can select your student, and then there are a bunch more tabs here. You can change their name, username, and password here. You can also activate or deactivate various items over here. Assignment, Quiz Test, and Grade offer the same options we already looked at. This would be for if you have more than one student and want to set things up differently for each student. There isn't anything here under notifications. Under Curriculum Setup, this is where you can go to remove a course that you've already assigned. If you go to Details for any course, you can adjust the settings for just that particular course. So as you can see, you can get pretty detailed here. You can also view any courses that you have unassigned here, and if you click Manage Billing, it's going to bring you back to the AOP website, and I've already shown you where to go to do that. But if you forgot, from here you would go to Dashboard, and this is where you can update your billing info or cancel your account. Lastly, up here are reports. So you can generate a report card, daily or weekly report here whenever you want to, that you can then print out for your records. Okay, I think that's everything. I hope I didn't miss anything, but that was a lot. So now let's talk about the Monarch online homeschooling program and whether or not this would be a good choice for your family. Well, I definitely think the curriculum is good if you're looking for a Christian curriculum. I like that it doesn't solely rely on videos for the lessons, and the quizzes and tests are definitely a lot more challenging than on some of the other online homeschooling programs out there. You're not just going to complete a lesson in 5 or 10 minutes unless you really know the material. I also don't think you're going to find a more customizable program out there. I'd say maybe this is even a little bit too customizable. All the different screens can get a little bit confusing and complicated. Hopefully this video helped you understand it all so you can set it up however works best for your family. As for the drawbacks, well, you're going to have to do some grading, so this program is definitely not as hands-off as some of the other programs out there. Personally, I don't see that as a drawback, but for some parents it might be. For instance, if English is not your first language. And for parents who are wondering if you can use this as a secular curriculum if you just don't add in the Bible course, the answer is no. With this program, Christianity is going to be incorporated into a lot of the lessons, so this is probably not a good choice for a non-religious family or a family of another faith. Overall, I really like Monarch, and it's really the only option out there for a true online homeschooling program that's also Christian. There are other options like BJU Press or Abeka Academy, but those are video courses that also include physical textbooks, and the parents will be grading everything. So they aren't really the same. Monarch is more like Time for Learning or Me Academy, except that it's a Christian curriculum. If you have any questions about Monarch or just a general question about homeschooling, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to help. Thank you so much for watching.